Hello, my name is Kurt Rice, the VP of Technical Services for Interprise Solutions. In this demo video, we're going to be discussing the web service, the business service for Interprise Suite, and how to connect up your application to connect up over the internet. You'll need IIS server running on most any current version of Windows. In this case, I'm using Windows 7 64-bit, which would have this similar interface to Windows 2008 server. For those that are familiar with Windows XP and Windows 2003 server, the version of IIS that we'll see here is quite a bit different than what you're used to seeing. So the first thing here, again, I'm using a 64-bit, and I want to show some of the specific things you need to configure to get the Interprise, both e-commerce and web services, to work correctly. I'll right-click and go to my advanced settings and see which app pool this is running. It's using the classic.net app pool. I'll go up to my app pools. I'll right-click and choose advanced settings here as well. So there's a few things that I'd like to change. The identity under the process model, I'd like to change to network service. And I'd also like you to change enable 32-bit applications to true and leave the managed pipeline mode to classic. We'll choose OK. I'm going to click on the business service here. I'm going to go to my default documents and see that business service.asmx is already added in. I'll go ahead and click on the browse button, and this should render our web service to our web browser. And it does. I can see that the Interprise Suite Business Service WSE is available to me. Now this is something that you'll want to test outside of your firewall, outside of your your hosting environment. If this is indeed what you're after, is having this exposed externally. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about preparing the application to run as a particular web service. I'll click on the F2 configuration here. I'll add a new configuration for Interprise. I'm going to call this Demo Web Service. I'll choose this to be an internet connection only. Now we notice a few things here. From LAN connection, we only have to worry about company database. Under internet connection only, we have to worry about only the cache database. Under the LAN and internet connection, we have to configure both company and the cache database. In this case, I'm going to go to internet connection only, so we don't care about what the company database says. We do care about, however, making sure that I'm using the right instance of SQL. In this case, I have a local instance of SQL, and I'll use Windows authentication that tests correctly. I'll then want to grab my web service. Let's go back to here. Click on Browse, and I'm going to grab the web service itself. I like to add business service.asmx and just make sure that that works, and it does. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, come down and paste that into my application. I'll go ahead and click on the test button here, just to make sure that the Interprise configuration can reach this. Right now I'm seeing an access to path is denied. In this case, I'm going to want to check the file permissions for this particular folder. So I'll expand out, see Program Files, Interprise Solutions, go down to the Business Web Service here. I'm going to choose Properties and take a look at the security permissions. As we had talked a few minutes ago, I'd like to have the network service have availability to have access to these particular folders. So I'm going to type in network service, choose check names. That highlights correctly, and I will give full access to this local service running. That will go make sure that all of the files and folders are available to me. We'll go back here, hit test again, and I can see my connection has succeeded. Again, in this case, it was just a folder permission error that was preventing us from getting at that particular web service files behind the scenes. So from my drop-down list, I can now choose Demo Web Service. I'm going to go ahead and open up SQL Server Management Studio and take a look at the databases that are currently installed. and I'll use Windows authentication against the local SQL server, and I'm going to expand the databases. We'll see that we have a model database and a demo US database, and along with another one that I've got in here. Once I run the application and go ahead and log in here, it's going to create a new database for us, and I'm going to discuss that here while the cache database is creating. A cache database is our way of keeping non-transactional data on the server side where it should be, but business logic and DLLs and configuration files and certain elements used to draw screen components are stored in this cache database. So when you open up on the road and you've got your laptop and you're going to connect through a web service, only the transactional data will be pulled over the internet. Most all information will be pulled from this local cache database. Now this is a self-updating cache database process that we have within Interprise, so you really don't have to worry too often about maintaining this. It just works on its own. This process, depending on your internet connection, could take anywhere from 30 plus seconds up to I've seen it take as long as 5 minutes to get this to connect. In some cases, we've actually had to take a cache database from the server and zip it up, FTP it down to a client app, and then install it that way because of such a poor internet connection. But that's not the norm. This usually runs quite smoothly. And just to recap a few points of 32-bit versus 64-bit, the enable 32-bit in the app pool is something that we had to change here. I had to change the network service to network service at the app pool level, and that's really about the only difference. We'll make sure that once this is completed, we'll show you how the cache database was created on the SQL Server side, and we'll show you within the application that you are truly running over a web service, how to tell when you're running over a web service. This cache database process is a two-phase process. One's creating the database and one's populating the database, so don't think that it started over on you. Just know that there will be two passes of the status bar in front of you. It should also be said as well that the first time you load a cache database, that'll be the longest time it should ever take to load load all the settings down from the server. If I sign back out and then turn around and sign back in, still using the internet, the check and balance in the system is going to take a look at the cache settings and realize that they are already up to date, and that process of relogging back in after the first time should go much faster by design. And of course, it really only depends on your connection speed to the internet and the class of machine and server that you're using to both receive the data and serve up the data. And now that we're logged in, we can go through the bottom status bar here. We can see that we're connected to a company registered to Interprise Solutions. I'm logged in as guest user with English. My resource file is set to English, and I'm connected through the internet to the IP address listed here with the web service that we created and the business service .asmx, which is our web service. So that's it. That's how we make sure that we can connect up through a web service to our IIS server, and to just make sure that you've got that web service publicly facing if you're going to be using this in your environment. And enjoy. All right, thank you, and bye for now.